Nagoya Audio presents You Like Me, Not My Daughter? By Nozomi Kota. Read by Majori22. Prologue. I first met Ayako-san in the middle of a tragedy. I will take care of this girl. A dignified voice resounded among the adults dressed in black. It wasn't loud, but it was accompanied by a determination that seemed to cut through the grim atmosphere permeating the place. It was a little after the funeral. The couple that lived next to me died in a tragic accident. Both of them had gone to heaven together. I was 10 years old when my parents took me to the funeral. At the time, I didn't fully understand what was happening. The whole process of burning incenses and the offerings, and what it meant for someone to die. The deceased couple, they were really good people. Whenever I went to school in the mornings, they would always greet me with a smile. They even had a barbecue party in their garden with my family. I didn't know much about death, but it made me really sad to think that I would never see them again. And I was also wondering, what would happen to Mui-chan? The deceased couple had a 5-year-old daughter. Apparently, they were on their way to the daycare to pick up Mui-chan and were going to grab a bite afterwards. But on their way to pick her up, the unfortunate accident occurred. Mui-chan will never see her father or mother again. What a tragedy. However, it didn't seem like Mui-chan had realized what was happening. During the entire funeral, she was just quiet and looking absent-minded like a small animal. Perhaps she wasn't even aware that her papa and mama were dead. Or maybe she didn't even know what it meant to die. If I didn't understand it well at the age of 10, she most likely didn't when she was 5. The adults dressed in black started repeating, "Poor thing," like a broken record, one after the other. "Poor thing, poor thing," they kept saying, as if they were classifying her, as if they were carving it into her mind. After the quiet funeral service was held, the adults started to have dinner in a tatami room. Apparently, this was a ceremony called Sojin Otoshi. Sojin Otoshi is held at a banquet in a memorial service on the 6th day after a person's death. After returning from the crematory to reward the priests and facilitators for their services, the table was full of liquor and sushi. After they began to drink liquor, the adults started to talk as they normally would, almost as if they were waiting for this very moment. Their talk could be called nothing other than vulgar and selfish. Like I said before, I can't take care of her. I can't either. We already have 3 kids. What about you, brother? You're still single, ain't you? Stop messing around. If I start taking care of her, then I'll never be able to get married. Guess there's no other choice other than to send her to an orphanage. No, if we send her to an orphanage, people will start bad-mouthing us. That's true. It'll look as if we sent her away. Then why don't we just let our mom do it? I already have my hands full with Dad. Actually, why don't you stop leaving everything to me and start helping me take care of Dad for once as well? It was as if Mui-chan's relatives were all attacking her with just their voice. They were arguing about who was going to take care of her, and basically, no one wanted to do so. Everyone seemed to be too busy with their own lives and families, so they couldn't afford to take care of other people's children. Their exchange kept heating up more and more. I wasn't sure how much Mui-chan could understand from the conversation, but the adults thought that a little 5-year-old girl wouldn't get it anyway, and so talked as they pleased. The atmosphere was so grim that even a 10-year-old kid like me could notice. Then, someone unexpectedly said, "If the child is going to be alone, she might as well join her parents." In that moment, I covered my ears to not hear the rest of the words. Bam! After hitting a table strongly, a woman stood up. "I'll take care of the girl." A dignified voice cut through the grim air. "What? Didn't you hear me? I said that I'll take care of my sister's daughter." The woman repeated her words while the surrounding adults kept quiet, amazed at her words. Apparently, she was Ayako, Mui-chan's mom's younger sister. a beautiful woman with a gentle air around her. She looked to be around 20 years old. Her slightly droopy eyes had a soft gaze, but now they were full of a silent rage towards her relatives. Wait a second. What are you saying now, Ayako? The woman sitting down next to her hurriedly tried to stop Ayako-san. I think that was her mother. Take care of her, you say? You can't do that. You just started working this year. Raising a kid right now is... I'm sorry, Mom, but I've made up my mind already. Ayako-san gently pushed her mother aside and started walking towards Miu in a hurry. I can't bear to see Miu-chan stay in this place for even a second longer. With firm steps, she went towards the girl that was sitting in the corner. She crouched and looked at her straight in the eyes. Miu-chan, would you like to live with me from now on? Live with you, Aunt? Yes, with me. But Miu wants to be with Papa and Mama. Your Mama and Papa, they went to a faraway place. I'm afraid you can't live together anymore. Then, is Miu alone? Yes. But the truth is, I'm also alone now. You too, Aunt Ayako? That's right. You see, it's a bit embarrassing to say, but when I got a job, I got carried away and started living alone. But since I've always lived with my parents since I was born, I'm feeling very lonely living on my own. That's why, Ayako-san said. She kept looking at Miu-chan with a gentle gaze as she extended her hand to her. Your aunt feels very lonely and bored every day. That's why I want to live with you, Miu-chan. Do you not want to live with me? I want to. When Miu-chan nodded, Ayako-san smiled as brightly as the sun. Good, then come here. She grabbed Miu by her arms and held her up. Whoa, it's been a while since I've held you in my arms, but look at how heavy you've become. My back is starting to hurt. Hee, you're starting to sound like Grandma, Auntie. Oh, but you see, only bad kids say things like that. Here's your punishment. Tickle, tickle. Please stop, Auntie, it's too much. The two were so happily smiling to each other that it looked like they had forgotten that we had just held a funeral ceremony. The adults in the surroundings kept quiet and didn't say anything else. There was a hint of holiness so precious that no one dared defile it. But I couldn't take my eyes off Ayako-san. I couldn't help but be dazed after looking at her extending her hand, without hesitation, towards the girl that had been thrown into the depths of desperation by God's practical joke. She, who had overcome the tragedy on her own, looked like a noble heroine or a merciful saint, and I think that it was at that moment that she stole my heart.